Okay, I'd like to start off and say good morning to everyone. Great. Wow, let's try that again. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, that's a very enthusiastic response. Thank you very much for coming. My name's Stephen Bible, N7HPR. I'm chairman, I guess the self-declared chairman and organizer here. So I'm the one that has been talking with each of the presenters here and, of course, getting the schedule laid out here. I'll have a couple of notes a little bit later, but first I'd like to introduce Dave Toth, VE3GYQ, the president of TAPR.
Oh, that's good. I got the clap. That's great. Well, good morning. Not anymore. Cipro doesn't even work. You got to go back to Rosef and IM. It's terrible. Actually, I enjoy it. If somebody wants to come in and be treated, it's nice to give them a shot in the butt to remind them they shouldn't have done things they did. For those of you who don't get the joke, I'm an emergency physician, actually. So, well, thanks very much, Steve. And Steve, you're not the self-declared chairman. You've done a wonderful job getting things organized, and I'll be pointing out some of the people here in a few minutes. I'd like to take this opportunity, though, to welcome Larry Wolfgang, WR1B, the editor of QEX magazine, representing the ARRL at this joint conference. And I'd like to invite Larry to come up and make some initial statements.
Thank you, David. Well, I bring greetings from ARRL and the ARRL headquarters staff. This conference is the 27th conference, starting from the first ARRL Computer Networking Conference back in 1981, which oddly enough is the year that I started working at ARRL headquarters. So we're pleased to continue this partnership with TAPR and welcome you to this conference. Thank you for your participation. A few years ago, the ARRL looked at some visual ways to represent our organization and came up with 4 pillars to represent our programs. The 4 pillars that started out, you think of 4 corners, so supporting the organization. We had public service, advocacy, education, and membership, all very important. But this year at Dayton, a 5th pillar was added, and that was technology. And technology, I think, is very appropriate for this conference. And I'm personally pleased to see that higher recognition. Technology had always been, of course, part of the ARRL's programs, but this representation, I think, is even more significant. We even have a website, WeDoThatRadio.org, which if you haven't looked at, it's an interesting website, and it helps to showcase quite a few of the programs and various things that amateur radio operators do. So with that, welcome to the DCC, and thank you.
Thank you, Larry, and thanks for all you're doing to promote technology. We in this group obviously appreciate this. It's my privilege to recognize a number of individuals who've made this all come together. I must say, in the number of DCCs I've been involved with, and I actually organized one back up in London, Ontario many years ago, I've never seen such a stalwart bunch of locals promoting things. And just look around you, we were commenting today, there's more electronic stuff in here than 10 of us had in our shacks combined. So it's a pretty amazing effort. I'd like to mention and thank Mark Thompson, WB9QZB, and Kermit Carlson, W9XA, who've headed up the effort here on behalf of the local group, and Gary Pierce, KN4AQ, for agreeing to come and do a DVD on the conference, and Ron Steinberg, K9IKZ, from Rentcom, for the audio-visual setup, which I think is absolutely stunning. We'd also like to thank Joe Lynch, N6CL from CQVHF, who's come to support us and has brought copies of CQVHF magazine. You can get your free copy in the registration area. And we'd like to thank some of the vendors who've come. We'd like to thank Kenwood and ICOM, who will be in the demonstration room. Please visit them later. and there will be other people set up in there. Scotty's got some of the HPSDR stuff set up in there too, so there'll be a number of other people demonstrating stuff there. We'd like to encourage you in between sessions to go into the demo room, talk to people. And one of the things about the DCC that you can't get if you're not here, that reading the proceedings doesn't give you, is the personal contact, the networking that goes on, the human networking that goes on that makes this such a unique experience. I've seen a few guys here who says their first DCC. I see them all the time at Dayton, and I always thought I've seen them at the DCC, but they're telling me this was their first DCC, and I think it'll be interesting to hear their comments when it's over as to what they got out of it. It's much more than just the talks. It's taking the time to sit down and start scribbling things on napkins, where all great projects start, and exchange ideas. I know I've been involved in a number of conversations here with people who quite literally are talking way over my head, and they don't seem to mind a question. Everybody's very eager to share their knowledge, and it's very, very collegial, and it's a very unique experience. So I think the real flavor of the DCC is missed unless you are here. But just as a teaser, we're going to have things like the DVD available that Gary's producing, and hopefully word of mouth from the rest of you to encourage more people to come. I think that the League is definitely onto something. They've always promoted technology, but I think we need to re-emphasize that. We need to draw people's attention to the fact that we have to have interesting technology to attract our young people. I'm personally proud of the fact that one of my sons is licensed this year. He was licensed a few weeks ago when he was visiting his mother up in Canada, and his twin brother's working on his license, so I think I've done my bit. My dad was a ham. He's passed away, so we're trying to replace he and I anyway, so we won't at least have attrition in the numbers. And my sons are considerably younger than me, so hopefully we've pulled down the average age of hamdom from 58 or 59 down a couple of notches. So I'd encourage you to tell the young people that are around you, kids in your own family, about the interesting technology things that are going on. My guys are computer geeks. They love computer games, but they are interested in ham radio, interestingly enough. I've obviously not totally alienated them yet, and they've developed an interest, so I'm quite proud of that fact. At any rate, without further ado, I'd like to invite Steve Bible back up here to introduce our first speaker, and once again, thank you all for coming. Feel free to buttonhole any of us on the TAPR board with any of your ideas while you're here or suggestions. I'm sure Kermit and Mark and their staff would be happy to hear any suggestions, or I would hope they'd like to hear praise for the fine job they've done, but they'll accept constructive criticism too. I asked Kermit and Mark to try to document their procedures for running a conference, so we'll have that as a future thing to add to our own paperwork that we keep for the local organizations as to how to set up a DCC. Obviously, the local group's got a lot of experience. They just finished the W9DXCC conference last week, and Kermit tells me that they're planning for the Central States VHF conference in July. The dates of the conference there?
24, 25, 26.
Okay, July 24, 25, 26. So if you like what you see now in terms of organization, mark those dates for next year, and it'll be right here, I believe. Is that not right in this hotel, right in this room? So if any of you don't want to leave, you could just park your butts here till next July. You'll be all set.